Trump's victory has left many Americans feeling depressed. I've come to Mississippi, birthplace of the blues. With so much attention given to Trump's white working class supporters, I wanted to know how working class blacks are feeling. Leo Welch is 84, and he's lived his whole life in America's poorest state.
I was raised on a farm, plowed mules, hold cotton, pick cotton, come home at nighttime and get my guitar and sit on the porch, cross my legs, wheel on my guitar.
Who owned the land in the cotton fields and the corn fields?
Oh, some white man. We had to call him boss man. We didn't make no money on no farm. We didn't make any. We were just there, like slavery.
Did you ever think you'd see a black president?
I didn't think there would be a black president. Tell you the truth, I hate to see him go.
What do you think of Donald Trump?
Well, I got some doubts about him. What do you think about it?
I have some doubts about him too.
One of the reasons I have doubts is because of what the presidential campaign did to race relations. The election divided voters along racial lines and left many feeling the country was going backwards in time. I'd heard of an incident in the heart of the Mississippi Delta that was reminiscent of the 1960s, when black churches were burned by the Ku Klux Klan. A week before Election Day here in Greenville, this African-American church was set on fire.
Really is one of the bleakest sights imaginable in here. I mean, everything from the instruments to the pews to the altar, it's just turned to black.
Outside, I met with Hopewell Baptist Church's Bishop, Clarence Green.
On that particular night, I felt nothing. I was numb. The fire was blazing from all around, and I had not seen the other side. And this is what we found when we come around to this side.
What do you think of that guy?
As they say in the court, I plead the fifth on that question.
Did the Trump campaign reach out to you?
No, I hadn't heard from the Trump campaign. No, I have not.
At 9:16 p.m. last night, the Greenville Fire Department was dispatched to Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church here in Greenville.
In the midst of the divisive election, the FBI joined the local investigation.
Cowardly act. This matter is being investigated as a hate crime.
With the investigation ongoing and no suspects arrested, I wanted to know what Greenville's residents felt about the attack.
And what did you think when you heard that that black church had been burned?
Very upset about it.
One more sign of Satan in this city.
I don't think it was like anybody that was actually a Trump supporter. I think it was somebody down from there.
What about the idea that it was, race related, who had vote Trump on the side?
I really don't know about that.
I believe it's an inside job.
You don't think it was a Trump supporter?
No, I don't.
I'd been invited to meet some Greenville Republicans. Every day, this group of friends eat lunch and talk politics around what they call the table of knowledge.
Given I assume most of you guys were around during Mississippi's darker days in the 1960s, was there anyone who thought at that time that maybe this was a return to those kinds of racist acts?
No.
What was it like in the 1960s?
My only involvement with black people was my maid, who we loved and respected, but that was it. There was no socialization at all.
How have things changed in your mind?
We're more segregated today than we were in the 60s.
Really?
In my opinion.
Why is that?
Not in terms of government, not in terms of business, not in terms of. I don't feel that way at all.
40 years ago, you not see a black person in this cafe. It was total segregation.
Do you think we'd be integrated if the federal government didn't enact and pass civil rights laws?
No.
We would not.
I said no. And why do you say no?
Well, everybody was happy like it was, but that's people have changed. I mean, it was forced, but we changed.
I grew up in what I believe to be a post-racial society. I was born in 1970, as I told you. But one of the things that keeps the discussion of race going are people asking about it all the time. And
People like me come and ask these kind of questions as part of the problem.
you said part of the problem. Part of what problem?
Most of the white people I talked to said that Greenville no longer had a significant problem with racism. But I got a very different picture from most of the black people I met, including the city's mayor, Eric Simmons. Greenville is 80% black, but neighborhoods remain largely segregated.
Here you'll see we are in the affluent areas.
What would you say is kind of racial makeup?
It's a predominantly white area.
This is wealth handed down over generations, right?
Yes, some of them are.
I mean, look at that place. It's like a palace.
Yes.
What's this place here, this factory on the right?
It was an old fish plant. It's been closed down for years now.
How many factories have closed down in Greenville, would you say?
Oh man, it's a lot of them. Even before my time as mayor.
I think you can't turn on the TV at the moment without people talking about the neglected white working class. These factories have closed. But it seems those same economic forces are affecting this place.
Absolutely. You cannot talk about the Rust Belt states without talking about the Mississippi Delta and the southern states. Folks who look like me, who don't look like me, black and white folks who have lost jobs as well.
The mayor showed me around the area where he grew up.
I frequent this store that is now closed down, right? And it was an African-American store owned by the Jones family. It closed down years ago. And all of this area here is now distressed. You have abandoned homes.
Some people would say that economic disparity may be connected to race in Greenville, but racism, people discriminating against one another, is a thing of the past.
Racism is alive and well in America. Greenville is no different. We started a racial reconciliation program here in Greenville to bring blacks and whites together, regardless of denominational lines. And shortly sometime thereafter, the N-word, N-I-G-G-E-R, was written visibly on the vote round. And so...
that seems like a pretty obvious example of racism.
If that's not, I don't know what is.
Sunday morning in Greenville. On the same day Hopewell Church was torn down, I found its congregation worshipping on the other side of town. Greenville's largest white church had offered its side chapel to its black neighbours. The First Baptist Church, which a generation ago excluded blacks, was hosting a service by Hopewell's bishop, Clarence Green. Martin Luther King said the most segregated time in America was 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
50 years after Martin Luther King said those words, still worshipping apart.
The story's about to make a turn in an important direction. It's not just a bunch of...
Pastor James Nichols extended the invitation to Hopewell Church days after it was set on fire.
They worship God and they praise God.
Following church services, Pastor Nichols and Bishop Green came together.
My heart broke because the church burned. It wasn't because it was a white church or a black church or a rich church or a poor church. It was the fact that it was God's church that had burned. And as a pastor, that broke my heart.
I noticed you're still worshipping separately.
Yes. But that's by the fact that there's healing that needs to take place in the congregation at Hopewell. In fact, I think my first comment was, we'd love for you to worship with us.
Yes.
But I also understood the need for him to minister to the congregation in their time of grief and shock.
We have to take our time. It's a process. We can't force our people overnight to come together.
But we can lead them.
You can lead them.
You said that your first reaction upon hearing that the church was burned was that it wouldn't have been a white person and wouldn't have been a Republican. And I wondered why you were so sure.
Because I know our community. I don't think the arsonist burned Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church for a political reason, period. I don't think they did it for a racial reason.
I cannot say that because I don't know what was in the person's heart that did it.
Is there a racial divide? Yes. Is it Trump's fault? No.
Do you not think his references to Mexicans as criminals, as rapists, his reluctance at first to disavow the KKK, do you not think those things have made racial tensions worse in this country?
I can't speak to the outcome, but let me tell you what I do believe. Much of what he said was part of his strategy.
To appeal to the worst biases of some of the white voters.
To get press, to get his face on the media, and have billions of dollars worth of TV time and newspaper time that he didn't have to pay for.
But if you're saying that he played dog whistle racial politics to get press, that's appalling.
Well, politics is a dirty business. Did I agree with it? Do I condone it? Absolutely not.
Why did you vote for him then?
I was voting against a candidate. I had to vote for somebody.
We're just weeks from Trump's inauguration, but the country has not come close to reconciling its differences. I didn't come here to solve the mystery behind the burning of Hopewell Church, but a week after I left, the authorities announced a breakthrough.
Tonight, a member of the very church that was burned down is in custody. 45-year-old Andrew McClinton is himself an African-American.
For those Greenville residents who believe racism is a distant memory, the arrest may feel like vindication. But the arson attack and the aftermath of the election have prompted some difficult conversations about race. 8 years after choosing its first black president, America is a long way from being a post-racial society.